Yo, what's good, people? We are back. Chill Fuzzy Chats is back after the after a rather painful weekend. Thankfully, not just for United fans, we get to share our pain. We get to share it, spread this pain amongst multiple fan bases. I mean, Christ Almighty! I mean, what can you say? United's embarrassment probably holds the biggest L of the weekend. So let's be real. Let's be real. I don't want to put West Ham up there losing 5-0 to Fulham as the biggest L of the weekend. I think Bournemouth is, because that's the first time in their club's history that they've ever gone and done that at Old Trafford. So we got Tony Abari in the chat, nice and early. Great to see you, man. I hope you're all doing good. Carl Rossi as well. Big ups to the Mandem. Big ups to the Mandem. Always a pleasure to see you in chat too. Very, very early. Early birds catch the worm, except there's no worms here. Thank God for that. I mean, Christ Almighty, if I come out to say I've got worms, then we're in deep shit. YouTube might come snipe me. Take me down off the tube before I start spreading them everywhere. I think it's okay to make your chocolate milk Irish today, Fuzzy. We understand. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's good enough for me. This is good enough for me. I had me a bait call time before I did this as well, so I'm servicing my pain at the moment, if you will. But I'll tell you what, pain's probably about to get amplified. We're about to go up to. Usually we say cloud 9. How about cloud -9? We're cloud -9. We've sort of gone beneath the ground. Instead of digging through the earth to find China, you dig through the earth, and we found ourselves at Old Trafford. We're buried in hell right now, and it's probably going to get worse. Bayern Munich getting slapped by Eintracht Frankfurt are probably going to be back for blood. They're going to be thinking, what's the best way that we can answer back after getting battered by mid-table Bundesliga mediocrity than to slap Manchester United as if it is the biggest blunder that man's ever seen. They're going to absolutely annihilate us. I've got no reason to believe that United are going to do anything, out of the ordinary. I mean, I say that, but then again, we do this extremities thing. We go from one extremity to the complete polar opposite the next week. It's mental. Big up Hot Fuzz, the Choco Maestro. You're damn right, early doors. Great to see you, man. Hope all is good with you. Mama Flossie Meister. Commiserations for today. Handled by a chicken on a basketball, unfortunately. I mean, beating Newcastle isn't for everybody. I mean, bloody hell, we've already lost twice to Newcastle this season. We ain't even halfway through. We are finitoed. All that good stuff. We all just have to take the L. We do. We've all got to bear it. Stick that on our foreheads and walk around with that thing plastered on our faces for a good week or so before we get to rectify any issues. But the problem is at least Arsenal probably have a game that they can answer back in. West Ham may have a game that they can answer back in. Chelsea may have a game they can answer back in. Man United have got Bayern midweek and then bloody Liverpool at Anfield. The chances of us answering back are nil point. We are done. Dunzos. Finitoed. Written off the books. We are completely buried alive. I would say we're quite dead yet because, I mean, these corpses, that man, that cemetery, Old Trafford Cemetery, is still asking for a paycheck. The losers chat tonight, where we can all hold hands and share with the group. It's a therapy session, people. It's a therapy session. Share with the group. It's okay. Get your sadness off of your chest. We're all here to listen. We're all here to care for you. This is your safe space. It was a puff pass weekend for all. It absolutely is. Oh man. Big ups, Big T. Good to see you. Put the club into administration. Get the debt wiped and start all over again in the Nations League North. Mate, restart the club, right? We've produced an absolute shit ton of these Norwich scarves that everyone's so fanatical about, or frantic about. All the rivals are frantic about all of our Norwich scarves. It's like, bro, how about we reset the club into Newton Heath? We actually play in a green and gold. I mean, even at that point, we'll probably still manage to overtake Norwich as the supreme green and, well, I mean, technically they're green and yellow, but still, our green and gold will be better than their green and yellow. We'll still overtake them, but no, that would be a journey and a half. That'd be an adventure. Can't say it will be all enjoyable though, or all highs. There's probably going to be some hella lows in there as well, but it's all cool. It's all cool. It's all in the name of passion for the sport. Moyes moaning about fixture scheduling. Why look for excuses and just say West Ham are crap? I mean, that'd be the easy thing. That'd be the easy thing for everyone to do. But if there's anything to say, look, wait, I don't take responsibility for this. As Lee would say, the best form of ability is accountability. And I think the honesty to, hold your hands up and say, look, we just got absolutely battered. And you know what, Fulham, fair plays to them. Man's got 16 goals in 4 games. You usually talk about a team that scores 16 goals in 4 games. You're looking at a Liverpool, a Man City, maybe an Arsenal. You're not looking at a Fulham side, a mid-table Fulham side. They score 16 goals in 4 games. That's mental. They almost have scored like 90% or 95% of all of the goals that Man United have scored in this league campaign in 4 games. Hold hands and sing Kumbia, or have you? Kumbia. It's like you're about to emphasize kumbaya, but you accidentally hit your knee on the pew in front of you, and then it's just like, ah. Sounds like you're interrupted. But yeah, I know what you're trying to say. Kumbaya. Sing kumbaya. I won't get into it. I'll be cancelled if I speed Arsenalese tonight. It's fine, Rossi. Pour yourself a glass of chocolate milk and everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. Don't worry. We're all here for you. That sounds better than the actual spelling. You're among friends, Carl Rossi. Speak away. I'm not a monetized channel by any means. So if I put up a comment, it's probably gonna not mean anything to YouTube. They're probably gonna look at it as like, hey, look, we should probably ban this guy, but nah, he's not making revenue on our platform, so why bother? why bother? Crazy times, man. Why do you think Ten Hag gets a free pass from large parts of the fan base? I've heard we need to write off the season. Since when do you pump 400 million into a team and then write off the season? Well, to be honest, the thing is that with the players that, well, we spend £400 million into a team, and that same manager still has to be playing players that have been around since the days of Louis van Gaal. And it's like, well, that right there seems to be a pretty prevalent issue. You know, players that have been here for too long and managers somewhat having only them as options or viable options to play. It's like in our midfield, as an example, you know, we can't pick Casemiro, he's injured. Amrabat's probably the best option you have. Scott McTominay is the only second, um, first choice senior player that perhaps he sees fit to playing in the role next to him. Van der Beek is set to leave in January. Eriksen's injured; he's not fit. So there's various instances where Ten Hag's hands are tied. There are issues that I do have with Eric, with like some of his team selections, his substitutions, his squad handling. I think is in the mud a bit, and it's like you see the almost like the disillusion starting to set in to the manager. And the thing is the manager is on a slippery slope, right? And it's one of those where unless he has got that pickaxe with him or that ice wrench to stab it into the mountain's edge, he's not going to stop slipping until he's gone. He's not going to stop until he's gone. So, I mean, with people who say, Ten Hag in, I back the manager till the end of time. I think, as much as I can appreciate that, you've got to have an open mind to this. And Ten Hag might get sacked. It's just I don't see where if we sack Ten Hag, the situation actually improves or turns around. Because as fans who want the managers gone, what we tend to have is a situation where we get linked to another manager and we think, oh, this guy's going to turn it around for us. He doesn't turn it around. He ends up putting us into even more mediocrity. And we're back here again. We had these conversations about Van Gaal after Moyes or Van Gaal's philosophy football. We're excited. Doesn't work. Mourinho comes in. Oh, the special ones football, elite mentality, will start winning everything. Doesn't happen. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer comes in. Vibes FC. Ollie's at the wheel. Make up a chant. Give him the job. Was said for about 3 months, and then with what actually did, it went horribly wrong. Ralf Rangnick came in. The rush for gegenpress. Everyone's like, we love gegenpressing. 45 minutes of gegenpress was enough. It's like, nah. Mm-mm. Ten Hag comes in. Ajax ball, philosophical stuff. Oh, the up and coming manager. We're in the modern game. Battered by Brighton and Brentford in the first 2 competitive games, and that's kind of where we're at the moment, really. And we're back here again, but who can we get right now that does improve this? Like, give me some examples of names that we could get right now that genuinely improves this situation. Because I'm all out. I'm all out for names. I don't know anybody that we can get right now that actually improves what's going on. Because I think these players would just throw or pull the rug out from underneath whoever it is that stands in that doorway and says, I'm now the manager. Marcus Rashford said, haha, no, you're not. Or someone like that. But yeah, we're in major dilemmas, if you will, with what it is we're actually going to do or what the plan of action is. Because as much as we can set Ten Hag, the question is, well, once you've done that, What's your next step? Who's the replacement, and how are you backing that person? Big up, Fuzzy. Big ups to Wolfgang Division. Good to see you, man. I hope all is good. Hope everything is good with you. It must mean they either have faith in Ten Hag or they're hoping that things are going to turn around. I suppose that the board has got big parts to of blame to claim in this. That they are very adamant and have been adamant that for a long time these players that they've signed as mistakes, that they believe the manager, they should always be getting the best out of the players, that they've seemingly sort of forgotten about the human element behind the players, and they think it's just like an electrical circuit board where they just got to get everything sort of placed in the right location, plug it all in, hit the on switch, and all of a sudden it starts working perfectly. That's not the case. It's a human element where someone can tell somebody to do something, that person doesn't do it. They've forgotten that side of the game, and that's kind of what's happening right now, and has been happening in various instances across the past 10 years. We're not in a good place. Not in a good place at all. Big up the DJ, absolutely. I'm all ears, Rossi. You can use my shoulder, brother. Or join me in a glass of 12 years Buchanan's. I don't know how that's pronounced, but Wolfster. He benches the players he wanted more often than not. Do you honestly believe Martinez, Casemiro, and Mount are going to come back and fix us? Well, they're not going to. Not going to fix us. I mean, they might improve the situation by absolute minimal margins, but that isn't enough. That isn't enough. We don't need minimal margins. We need an entire, not minimal. We need almost just universal margins worth of improvement. That's kind of what we want and what we need. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I think it's one of those where we just need to, I think, fix mentality. I think that's one thing that I've gone over quite a few times, is to fix mentality, that these players know that they cannot get an easy ride anymore. And that's kind of the things that I'm pinning a lot of this Sergeant Ratcliffe 25% on. Like, I'm hoping that he comes in, puts people in, positions of power where they oversee a shift in mindset and how people conduct their business at the club, that all the conversations about unprofessionalism, or people that aren't professional or doing their jobs properly, they're not allowed to carry on doing that without punishment. And I think that's something that is very, that has been missing from United for a long time, is serious punishment for serious, serious fault, or whatever the term is. Could we say in breach of contract? I don't know, because I don't know what word for word is written on these players' contracts. But if it was a contract written by me, I would know for sure that these players were definitely in breach of contract. But yeah, that's kind of a situation that we want to have put in place. These players don't get their easy ride anymore, and that every single day they get their ambitions challenged. That these players, they know very, very quickly, oh no, Man United isn't going to be for me anymore. I can't stay here. Good, get out. We don't want you. If you feel like you're not fit for this club, leave. Go away. Go to some other club somewhere else in this world, wherever it is your level is. And propping up the standards for how people conduct themselves and how business practices are conducted at the club. Upkeep that, and along with everything else, I think we could say so begins the long, and it's going to be a long process, but a healing process that we've got to drain. We've got to drain out the toxicity, and maybe with talks about United being back, there's going to be a lot of people at every turn, twist and turn, are going to say, "Oh, are United back? Are United back?" I'm going to stick to my guns and say we are not back until we are lifting a Premier League title, because that's where Manchester United were. That's where we need to be, and we are not back until we are there. That to me is where I will say Manchester United are back. Manchester United can be good, it can be very, very good, and I can praise them and applaud them at every instance. Hats off, well done to the players, well done to the manager, well done to the dinner lady in the cafeteria at Carrington, well done to everybody. But we've got such a long, long way, even with things that work out in all the ways we want them to. It's going to take a very long time for us to get everything facing the right direction and then moving the right direction. Smash the likes, absolutely. Do it, do it, do it. We're on 6 likes right now, very, very quickly, only 21 minutes in, and we are almost nearly at 10. If we can get that smashed up to 10 into double figures, then we are firing all cylinders. That would be fantastic, and big ups to everybody that does. And also, whilst you're at it, if you enjoy the content, do be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and all of that good stuff massively, massively helps out the channel. Share the love. Share the love, Tony. Share the love. Here is where I am. We cannot be successful and still be better than we are with Eric. So on that basis, is that this is the best it's going to ever get with Eric, or is that with anybody at the moment with the way the squad is currently? Because I mean, if you believe that there is another manager that will get players doing better, then that's all good. For me, my personal thoughts, I don't feel like there is anybody that, unless you have someone that goes in there to be the player's best friend again. But then again, you're giving the players that have caused problems for 10 years a free pass again. And that is one thing that I don't want to see us do. I want to see us have these players kicked out, booted out. And if we have someone who allows for these players to get away with it again, and then we start to see more of the same problems occur further down the line with the same manager, with this other manager that becomes like the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, there'll be all sorts of trouble. There'll be all sorts of trouble, and I think as much as it is that Eric, he's not doing as good as a job that he should be. I don't dispute that by any means. To me, Eric I feel like he's been sort of backed into a corner by demands of the players, and that he's had to compromise at quite a few different stages. And maybe with Eric Ten Hag, what he's actually ended up doing is compromised the legitimacy of his position, or the respect of his position, that instead of shooting down every single demand of the squad and saying, no, we're doing things my way, maybe he would actually command a lot more respect. But there are decisions that he's made that have almost seemingly lowered that essence of respect for the manager, that these players, they're like, man, this guy's a fool, we can take advantage of him. And that's the thing that I don't want to see. I don't want to see a manager get put into the passenger seat and say, no, we run the club now. And it's like, these players cannot have that sort of power. You don't see it anywhere else in the world. Unless it's PSG and your name is Kylian Mbappe, then you're literally made the club president the very next day. But I mean, Christ Almighty, these players, they're too much leeway, too much, way too much power. They're players, professional players. You have a contract to kick a football on a football pitch and train at your allocated training center, Monday to Friday. That's it. That's all you should be able to do. By all means, do what you want to do outside of football. But please, please, please don't start to take the mickey. Don't start to take the Mickey Mouse with what you're doing inside that football club. Any two-time Tony, would you say it's too big of a job for Ten Hag for what he has spent? The results speak for themselves. To answer that question, I think with Manchester United, as big of a job as it is, I don't think we've seen an accurate bite at the cherry. I think usually the term is that it's a fair bite at the cherry, but I don't think we've seen an accurate bite at the cherry, because when you've got this many problems at the club, it skewers the judgment, or the honest judgment, of any manager. Because it's like, if I'm a player at a club and a manager comes into my club to manage me, to coach me, and if I'd started raising all manners of hell, right? This guy's record, or his track record, shall we say, might be, to various instances, really good, and he's really well respected. He's got a very modern style. If I were to raise all manners of hell and completely tarnish his legacy, tarnish everything, and he leaves the door like an absolute bum, the thing is, yeah, people will look at that manager and say, "Oh, well, he wasn't as good," even though technically I deliberately made it like that for him. So me as a player, I've essentially skewered any chance of really getting to know just how good the manager can be, unless you want to have a full-on dictatorship that's like a communism approach, or like the corrupt communist approach, where like the manager takes all the power and, just guts power out of every other element of the club, take it by force, like a hostile takeover, a seizing of power. For me, these players are going to forever just, push and prod the pressure points for any manager to get the things that they want to have, and have the club and team play the way that they want to play. Good to have you back regularly in chat. Absolutely, 100%. We're doing some content myself soon. We'll be jumping on Old School Gunner stream Tuesday. Lovely. Guys, make sure to get subscribing to Early Doors Football TV. He'll be back to uploading content very, very soon. Make sure to go show him some love and support, as you've just seen and heard there. Old School Gunners on Tuesday. Do make sure to go and go show him some love on that show. Carrick would get these melts performing better than they do for Ten Hag. I'm not saying I want us to win titles immediately. I want us trying with all our might every game. Eric won't get that. And you might be right. And that's the thing, is I don't sit there and say that's Eric's fault. I sit there and say that's the players wanting an easy ride. Take away the disciplinarian in Ten Hag out of that picture, because Ten Hag won't demand the things that the players don't want to do, and they already don't respect him, so they don't want to do something or go extra for a manager they don't respect. Carrick, if he's everyone's best mate, and he's like, okay, guys, let's all push the right direction, they might put in better performances. But here's the thing, even with the mates rates guy, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still got battered by teams. So it will only, to me, it will only be a matter of time before these players start really taking the mick again and get absolutely battered. It's like Liverpool. We go away to Anfield with carrot ball and we'd still probably hold 5. We'd still get destroyed because these players, they've not got the spine. They haven't not got the spine to go out every game and put everything on the line, to stick their necks out on the line. They don't want to do it. Um, an inconsistency, one will say, an inconsistency to never always give 100% for the shirt and to really throw the towel in preemptively before before we get to better, higher levels. That's kind of the thing. It's like when we talk about top 4 races and getting into top 4 and Champions League positions. Whenever we have the opportunity to go a step further and really do something good and take a good advantage of a situation, we bottle it ourselves. It's like the players, it has that feeling where the players selectively choose when they want to play and when they don't want to play. And that's not good enough. We cannot allow that culture at the club to stay. We've got to get people in that say you either play every game out of your skin, every single game, 100%. If you're not 100% in any of those games, bye bye, you're gone. You don't reciprocate the standards of Manchester United because that 100% in every game, that's a prerequisite. We sign you, and from now on, we will be signing players for that element alone. So you better goddamn be worth our investment because if you're not, you're out the door. And that's what I'm hoping. That's the direction I'm hoping we take. We might not sign world-class quality players um, by way of mass. I don't believe that we will. I think there's got to be um, an element of having a system there that does that does work with lesser quality to improve and get a better tune out of players. But the mentality at the moment is so dead inside with so many elements at this club. There's no real sense of belief that these people and I think some of these players, they look at each other and they think this, and that's why to me there's cliques. It's because there's a lot of people in there by groups that don't really like each other enough to want to sacrifice for one another. So that in and of itself, get rid of cliques, get rid of divisions, get rid of anybody that has any negativity towards a teammate to think that they're going to give less professionally to the job. Um, and that's just it's one of many things. It's one of many things that we've got to go through. Um, Carl Rossi, one of the real ones, absolutely. Absolutely. Trophies are nice, but the bread and butter we want as fans is heart, hunger, and fight. Well, that's what I expect, anyways. But that, as I said, Big T, that should be the prerequisite for being a Man United player. That's the very first. That's like a legal agreement that one should sign before they ever touch this club. That you pour your heart and soul into it, and anything less is less than acceptable, and that's where we should be. That's where we should be. It's where we should go, and all of that good stuff, man. Smash them likes, 100%, up to 7 likes. Let's try and get it to 10 people. That's the target. That is the target. Let's see if we can do it. Man United need major rebuilding and restructuring, not just on the squad, is going to be a long time to see a turnaround. It is. It is going to be a very long time. And I think, unfortunately, I don't know if the fans will have a patience if we start to see people come in and start making changes and turn things around. we might get some really poor results along the way, and we'll still see fans come out to say, look, this guy's a bum, he sucks, despite them saying a year before he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. We'll still get those sorts of viewpoints and opinions. We'll still get those POVs, with a lack of understanding that there's only so much that you can fix after a 10-year degradation of a club and its integrity. And I think the self-respect, I think there's a lack of self-respect for anything that represents Manchester United at the moment. And we've got to almost luck into something that builds that sense of self-respect, where it's like if we might have to pull off a a big achievement to really build that sense of self-respect up, and that idea that yes, this is absolutely working, this is absolutely worth it. Manchester United, we're going to get back to the glory days, back to the promised land, the end goal. But I say the end goal, it's the ideal goal. Once we get there, the idea is then to stay there and keep working to be the very best in the world. And that's the ambition. That's at the end of the line, the all-round ambition of a football fan, especially at a club like Man United, is to see your club be the biggest and best in the world. Absolutely early doors. I think it is too big of a job for him. To be honest, I'm not going to lie. I think probably every manager in the world, this job's too big for them. I can't, and I mean every manager in the world. The job's way too big for them because they've got too many stages of toxicity that they've got to weed out first before they can actually cut to the core and make valid change. There's way too much levels of toxicity that they need a strong, resolute board and ownership backing to really reinforce these changes, whether it be from structurally to the personnel, whoever it may be. A strong, resolute backing for whoever is in that management job is the only way that any manager on this planet stands a chance of finding a successful reign at this club. And therefore, if no manager can do that without that backing, if there's a manager in the world that can do that without that sort of backing and keep us going and going and going, then they will be good enough or big enough for the Manchester United job for me. But that's almost tragic to me. That's almost tragic that we have to say that we have to wait for toxicity to leave the club before we can say that a manager would actually be a good fit for Manchester United. And I think that with the way our board works, they probably don't see or think that there is a legitimate problem with the structure to the personnel. They probably don't think that there is a legitimate issue with that. So without Sir Jim Ratcliffe coming in with all the pledged changes he wants to make, nothing would change and we would get worse and worse and worse and worse. Ratcliffe might only be able to stop the rot as well, instead of just stopping the rot, but also getting rid of it to drain it out. Big up Fuzzy, like and subscribe, everyone. 100%. Abs, great to see you, man. And great showing as well on Tony Claude Gunner's show, by the way. I had to get in touch with the United bloke on there. I've already forgotten his name, bless him. But yeah, he was a really likable character and a very likable panel on that show as well, man. Big ups to you. Make sure to subscribe to Football Bounce channel as well. Arsenal content creator, as well as Tony Claude Gunner, as he has featured on the previously before I was doing this show. To clarify, Fuzzy, if you gave Ten Hag 5 billion to spend on players in summer transfer window, he would still not be good enough. I mean, if he had 5 billion, to be honest, Big T, if he had £5 billion to spend, I think that's enough money. I mean, let's take FFP out of it. With 5 billion, it's probably enough money to pay off all of the Deadwood players to leave the club, spend on a proper quality squad, get all first choice players, and still have some cash left over. That would be a dream. Big T, that would be a dream, and I think Ten Hag would be doing backflips in a bouncy castle in his kitchen if he was told that news tomorrow. Because I'll tell you what, a lot of players would be out that door tomorrow by way of contract severance. They'll all be gone. They'll all be absolutely gone. You look at this current United squad, there seems no cohesion or harmony, and very rarely you see fluidity when Ten Hag first arrived. And I'll tell you what, the thing is, and people... I think people have also sort of brushed off a little bit that Ten Hag came in, right, inheriting a team that had that Manchester United team that had the worst Premier League's points tally in the club's history. The worst it's ever done in the Premier League. Before Premier League, then we've been relegated previously. So, but Ten Hag had to come in to work with that. Now, I think he did a good job, but that's about it with the first season. I think he did a good job, to be honest. As for this season, I think it sucks that his job is essentially slipped out of his grasp, and I think Ten Hag is more or less lost the rights of control on his job. And whether he gets through this next run of fixtures and still has his job by the end of it, I mean, it's yet to be seen. He probably won't. But to me, it's a shame that the players, once again, and we do take this back to the players, as this is about the manager, the players have once again dropped the ball. They've dropped the ball with actually, backing and fighting for not just the manager, but for this club. And I think that there is an avid lack of respect from the players to the fans of this club. I don't think the players respect the fans, because if you think about it, if they turn up to Old Trafford every week and putting in 0 out of 10 performances, I'll tell you what, if I turn up to Old Trafford and put in a 0 out of 10 performance, it's because I don't love this club, for starters, and those people that were cheering for me, I don't really like you guys. And that's what's concerning to me. Like, if that's me in that position, for me, these players, to me, are an enemy to me. The players are the enemy to me. Now, the manager, if it was genuinely he was just not doing anything right in his job, I would say, well, look, man, you're surplus. You are surplus to requirements. You are not good enough. I'm not backing you. And there will be managers in the future that will be like that. There will be managers where, for example, say Lee Gunner never wanted Mikel Arteta before he got the job. There will be people that will be linked to my job where I say, I do not want this guy here. I do not want him here. I do not believe in his methods. I do not believe in his ethos or his work, his thought process, all of that stuff. I don't believe in that. I don't back it. And that's where I would sit. I would say, well, look, I'll back the players, I'll back that team, but I'm going to be really, really super critical on that manager at every turn because I just wouldn't back it. For me, I wanted Ten Hag to do well. I wanted him to succeed. Big ups, Hot Fuzz. Are you Eric Ten Hag out or Eric Ten Hag in? Some fans on some streams the last 2 days are saying out. Your thoughts? Well, big ups, Anthony Herbert. Great to see you as always. For me, I'm sort of indifferent to it. I don't see the the reasoning to really be Ten Hag out because it's like I don't see things genuinely getting better or improving to an extent that we progress in any way. We might improve temporarily, but we'd be back into mediocrity. And to be honest, I think the process in which we go from the highs to the lows is getting quicker and quicker and quicker. The process is getting shorter every single time before a manager in good graces goes into a disgraced light. It's getting quicker and quicker and quicker. We've seen it with Louis van Gaal. A lot of fans were patient with him. We had the unbelievable track record of 0-0s and ball draws. It literally got to like the last season before we had enough of him. Jose Mourinho came in. We backed him for 2 seasons. The third season, we were like, "Oh, look, it's Mourinho third season syndrome. Let's sack him then." Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. People started to say this guy's a bum. He's not good enough. After like halfway through, or at the start of the second season, moving onwards, Ralf Rangnick replaced him, and he was done after 45 minutes. And this is the thing: it was people blaming the players at that moment. But then as more time went by and Ralf Rangnick was, losing more and more games, the more fans started to go from, well, it's the players' fault to now the manager again. And then the manager is like, well, okay, well, I'll just say in the media, this team needs open heart surgery. We need to cut out like 10 players out, 10 players in, open heart surgery, no fine cosmetics, no beauty thing, whatever it is. Don't need that. It needs a complete and utter reset. That guy got chucked out. Everyone seemed to completely forget about those comments until it became relevant now. Ten Hag comes in. Everyone's excited. They see Brighton and Brentford happen. Ten Hag out is already happening. Right, and I'm telling you, Ten Hag out was happening at that point. That's when it started. That's toxicity against the manager. That's when it started. The process for fans of Manchester United to turning against the manager or these players also turning against the manager at the same time, it's getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So that's why I say be careful about sacking a manager for the sake of the new manager bounce, when you probably won't get one. Because these players are done with this club. They are done with this club. They are done at this club. So you might not get that new manager bounce that you're so hoping and craving for. And then, on top of that, you're pinning the hopes that this manager that's going to replace Ten Hag is going to bring around the improvements that would mean that a Ten Hag team is inferior to whoever is the manager on their team of Manchester, their rendition of Manchester United is compared likewise. Like you're saying that the manager that comes in, that guy, his Manchester United team, he's going to get those players playing better. They're going to be performing, better on the pitch, better results, better score lines, and we'll get further in competitions, knockout competitions. Maybe we win a couple. Like we might get there or something. And to me, I I don't see that. I mean, it's holding on to positivity off the back of cutting out a negative, and holding on to the positivity. For me, I see people clutching. For me, it's like I'm watching people clutching at straws. And you hold onto a straw, and someone moves it, the straw just comes straight back out. And so for me, to answer your question, Anthony, I am completely indifferent to whether I'm in Ten Hag in or Ten Hag out. I don't see, I don't feel like I can see this club turning around, or anything about this team turning around. Plus, I've had my trust in these players broken way too many times, that I am absolutely adamant that I will not put my faith in these players ever again. Ever, ever, ever again. I can't do it. I must not do it. I have to be brave and say that I refuse to back these players. And whether people come out and say, "Oh, you're toxic, you should be backing whoever puts on that shirt," I'm thinking, but do they back? Do they back? Do they back us as fans to be there to support them? To be honest, they don't really care about us. They don't care about us. So for me, if they don't care about the fans, you've already disrespected me. You've spat on my shoes. You spat in my face. I don't want to support somebody. It's like a abusive relationship. I'm not going to love somebody who punches me in the face when I come home 5 minutes late from wherever. I'm not going to tolerate it. I'm not going to support it. If you punch me in the face and you're my partner after coming home 5 minutes late from work, you best believe we are done. I'm not going to tolerate it. Does anyone think Ten Hag's prime Ajax would have finished top four in the Prem? I mean, I'd say this, Big T. If you want to put a comparison between an Ajax team to a Premier League team, think about Brighton. Think about Brighton. And I think Brighton and Ajax are teams in similar levels of quality, in similar positions. And I think with Ten Hag, would play a similar essence to what De Zerbi would have done. And I think with that, we praise De Zerbi for playing great football with lesser quality players. I think Ajax, an Ajax quality team in the Premier League would have been praised in a similar light. People would have said, "Oh wow, look at the football that these guys are playing. Look at the football Ten Hag's playing." It wouldn't be winning every single week. I mean, whether you finish top four or not, I mean, you'll finish in European positions, to be honest, no doubt. But for me, I think it's one of those where Ten Hag, regardless, would have to go from Ajax to Manchester United is a step up in club stature. So I mean, it was always going to be a case of people wondering, Ajax compared to Manchester United, it's like night and day. Um, but but I think that with a prime Ajax team, they probably could have. They would have. He would have been close. He would have just about scraped it. But that's the furthest that Ajax team would have ever gotten. Big up Anthony. Good show earlier. Yeah. Big ups. Anthony, I'll swap him for. I'd swap him for Arteta just to get shut of him. I mean, Arteta would sink like would sink like a lead balloon in this United team. He would sink like a lead balloon. He would get absolutely flushed out. Thanks, Early Doors. Glad you liked it. It was a good show. Right, go check that out. Big T, you would Ten Hag done better in his first season than Arteta, in my opinion. But big up to you, my friend. They achieved more than Arsenal did. I mean, Arsenal, can do well in the league campaign. But I think the frailties in their team came to the forefront at the latter stages of the season after basically throwing all the other competitions in the bin. I want to see just how far Arteta takes an Arsenal team by not throwing any competitions in the bin and sticking to your guns and trying to really go far in all the competitions you can play in. Maybe there's a feeling of getting out of competitions to help your thinner squad survive for longer in the season, because if you've got only a selection of like 15 or 16 first team quality players, with injuries as a factor and fitness, you're going to get that 16-man squad chewed through real quick, really, really quick. So I think there's probably an element to Arteta throwing a lot of competitions in the bin, because his first team squad, he's trying to prevent injury and to prolong fitness in a competition that he wants to try and win. But that's sacrificing. That's sacrificing competitions. Anthony, a few West Ham channels are saying about the same about Moyes. Sack him now. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I think Ollie's approach could have worked. He just was not good enough to coach. Good enough coach to coach what he was wanting. So he wasn't good enough to implement what he wanted to do, basically. I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, won the league with Molde in the Norwegian league. So, I mean, he didn't underachieve at any stage with a Norwegian team in a Norwegian league. And it's not like he's got superstars in the Norwegian league. He's got players that would probably not even start for any championship or barely any League One quality teams. Maybe one or two players that were about championship level, but that's probably about it. So for me, Ollie, again, it's like he walked in there straight away with every manager, have an arm tied behind your back and fight the losing battle. And I think he had signed for him a load of players that I felt like were, say, too big a personalities for him to say, well, I'm in control of you. You're not in control of me. I think he had personalities that were just way too big for him to manage. So for me, I think Ollie, again, was, like you said, with Ten Hag, being or the job being too big for Ten Hag. I just think even then with Ollie, even when things were in a good position, the job for Ollie at that time was too big for him, even if things were really, really good. No, I'll give Moyes to the end of the season. I know you lost 5-0 today, but West Ham are good. They show up then when you don't expect them to. I would say with David Moyes, rather than sacking him mid-season, unless West Ham really go into crisis settings, maybe you consider getting a different manager in the summer. Let Moyes see out the rest of the season just to see where he gets you positionally and gets your squad to a certain point where he hands over the job to somebody else that the club mutually agreed to say, let's hand the job to this manager, and let's just evolutionize the team. I think it's probably the smoothest transition for a West Ham team to make, or the club to make, as far as the managers are concerned. A better coach with all his man management could work. Ten Hag does not have the man management skills for a big dressing room. He may not do, but we've got an issue with players that are not very big in stature, that have got very lucrative contracts that just shouldn't have the influence they do. So unfortunately for us, it's not world-class players are just too big for Ten Hag to manage. It's mediocre players with egos too big for Ten Hag to manage. So, and the same courtesy extends to every other manager that takes this job, and that's why I sort of feel bad for Mourinho when players start to pull the plug on him. For me, I was like, look, Jose Mourinho. I mean, Christ, we look back at things now. It's like, would you have kept, like, would you have backed the players over Mourinho? I mean, I backed the players over Mourinho because that's, for what I knew then to what I know now, has changed. The perception has changed. The patterns, the repetitive nature of the patterns has become very clear, very crystal clear to me, where the fundamental problems really well and truly lie. That's why I'm going after players before I ever even start to turn the page to put my focus and attention on the manager, because I've done putting the attention on the managers one too many times to realize that every time that these guys that get sacked from Manchester United, they go away, they leave a comment somewhere after the NDAs, expire, and they put out a statement that says, well, that club was just anything but a club. I think, to be honest, with the man management thing, I believe that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could have worked really well as the assistant manager, have a real technical coach, sort of at the forefront, and then the guy that sort of communicates well to all of the players as your assistant manager to get that balance working, like primarily working. I think Ollie would have suited that assistant manager's position better than taking all of the whole thing under his stewardship. But that's just me. So to ranting, I think Moyes walks at the end of the season anyway. Time will tell with results and Europa how long he continues. We'll have to see. Got to sign off. Take care, everyone. Fuzzy, easy on the chocolate milk. You've just reminded me I need to take another sip of it. But big ups, Tony, mate. All the best. Take care, and we'll see you again real soon, man. Big ups. Thanks for tuning in. Big up the chats. Big ups to you too, Football Bounce channel. Big ups to you, Abs. Again, make sure to subscribe to Football Bounce channel. And go show him some love. Good show earlier, 100%. Arsenal history and more. Evening Hot Fuzz and chats. Good evening, Jez. I seen little snippets of your show earlier before I went live with your match review. I heard with your fan cam on Lee Gunn's channel yesterday. You were too angry to do the match review yesterday. Hopefully you've calmed down enough to do without losing the absolute mind with your team on your post-match reaction, which I'll be sure to tune into, watch it on playback, and get your thoughts and your feelings widespread with that game yesterday. But thanks for tuning in, man. Great show. I'll have to go tune into that. I'll go take a good look at that show. Make sure you subscribe to Arsenal, the History and More. Go show Jez some love and all the support you can. Big ups to him. Justified those, Jez. Yeah. Vented a bit. That's what you're all here to do, man. That's what we're all here to do on the platform, to express our thoughts and our feelings. It's your channel is your canvas, and you are the artist. Paint the picture that you, as an artist, expresses his feelings and emotions in colours on a canvas. YouTubers express their emotions and feelings in words on a camera. The links there to Football Bounce channel in the chat. Mama Flossie coming in clutch there. Make sure you do follow these links to the channels and subscribe and spread the love around. Had to let the real truth out 100%. Up to 10 likes, by the way. Big ups to everybody. Thank you very much for that. That's good achievement, guys. Well done. Fantastic work. Thank you very much. If you are watching on playback as well, you were to be able to add to that tally, that would be fantastic. That would be brilliant. Thank you to everyone who does. Yeah, link to Early Doors Football TV as well, as he has stated already earlier in chat. Show coming up, I've forgotten the name, Old School Gunners, I think it is, on Tuesday. Show over there. Do be sure to go drop Early Doors a subscription there. And of course, the link to Arsenal, the history, and more. Go and show these guys all the love and support that they absolutely deserve. It's Christmas time, guys. It's Christmas time. Spread the love and joy, and get everybody feeling that sort of that festivity of that togetherness of this community and all that good stuff. Smash those subs, people. Let's get 250 by Christmas at least. Ooh, that's a push. That is a very big push. Not impossible by any means, and I'll never say never, Jess. I will never ever say never. It is all possible. Not likely, but not impossible. So let's I'll be hoping I'll be that lucky. But I'll tell you what, if we were to hit 250 before Christmas, that would be an unbelievable, as Gary Neville once says, unbelievable achievement. But yeah, thank you very much for the support, Jez. Really appreciate it. It's a sad state for both Arsenal and United. Common denominator, shitty fan base. To be fair, I think both fan bases has got the negativity side, the negative sides of it in common. That too many fans that I just think don't see I think by way of common logic or common sense, see the best way to support the team or the best way to get the best results for your team from a fan's perspective. And I think that it's a bit of a shame that there's not more fans willing to go further, willing to do more for the sake of seeing the betterment of our clubs. But I think that's just the way the fan culture is in this country. If you go to other countries, fan culture is different. Fans that care about their clubs that much more, that it becomes, they worship it like it's a religion, and you threaten something on a religious basis, you're in for a proper bollocking. Wanted nothing more than to eat my words last season had we won the league. I'll tell you what, it'll be really interesting to see how the landscape of football would look if Arsenal were Premier League champions last season. It'll be a weird feeling. It'll be a really, really weird feeling. Talking about Arsenal being Premier League champions, I mean, crikey. I would know factually that my club, would be completely dead and buried. I know Tottenham would be completely dead and buried as well. All of that crazy, crazy stuff. I think the problem there, Carl, was Arsenal, you have to say, over-excelled and got fans' hopes up, but showed their immaturity at the final hurdle, and I'd include Arteta in that as well. I think with Arsenal, for me, it felt like they sort of veered away from what was working for them well at the start and the midpoints of the season. Whether it's because they burnt out, I think there could be an element of that, because like you see it with the intent, the approaches, the game plans, and all of that stuff that Arteta was doing for Arsenal, minute 1 to 90, most games of that season, but you saw the intensity drop And to be honest, I mean, the starting 11 for Arsenal didn't actually change that many times. And I think with your drop off in quality for that squad that played that season, once you've gone past, your first team players getting injured, the backup option that comes in to take that place, wasn't anywhere up to scratch. So you saw the drop in individual level. Um, and I think those sometimes, as much as you haven't got the quality, if you haven't got the quality to get the job done by using the backup options, it can sort of, it can kick the stuffing out of you a little bit when you start to get some negative results. And I think they thought about a title too little too soon for me. You thought about the title too little too soon, because it's at the time when everyone was like, yeah, we're winning the league, we're winning the league. When everyone started getting on the hype and all the players were listening to the hype, is when the intensity also started to drop as well. It's when you bottled the 2-0 lead at Anfield. It's when you bottled the 2-0 lead at West Ham. It's when you drew 3-3 in an unceremonious fashion to Southampton at home. It's when you started losing out on these points, and Manchester City were just closing in on you. You saw those headlights getting brighter and brighter and brighter in your rearview mirror, and before you knew it, bang, gone past you, and they crashed you out. They did that pit stop maneuver on you on the way past with that 4-1 result. And that for me is when you lost the title, completely lost it. You could have recomposed yourself and looked like you were really pulling your weight in all of the games for the rest of the season. I thought there's an opportunity for you to do that, to restabilize, steady your legs a bit, but I think you just completely spun out and crashed it. If you watch Formula One, it's kind of like Lando Norris at Sochi. Full wet track, and the man's trying to finish the last 2 laps of a race on dry compounds, and ends up going from a winning position to finishing like 4th or 5th place, going wide at the last couple of turns, and it was so painful to watch. So is Ten Hag to United the same as Potter to Chelsea, as you made the Brighton link? I mean, Potter to Chelsea, I suppose the clubs, in terms of respect between like Chelsea's position as a club, they've got unique problems that I think make the manager's job that much harder. I think Graham Potter going to Chelsea, I think for him is a mistake. I would like to have seen him go to a club that hasn't got extremities worth of changes being made. And that's what Chelsea are in the midst of doing. Todd Bowley, going gun-ho on transfers and having massive, massive squads. And now you go from a bloated squad with loads and loads of players to now it being a nursery. And it's just like from one extremity to another extremity to another extremity. There's no in between. There's no sort of seeking of to steady the waters, to calm the waters down. I think most managers in clubs that are just going through excessive changes, it's not an ideal time. I think the best bet would probably to have been keeping Thomas Tuchel there, as opposed to sacking him to get Graham Potter in the midst of just throwing everything up in the air. But I'll tell you what, Graham Potter, if he had gone to Ajax, for example, if he had gone to Ajax to replace Ten Hag, maybe Ajax would be playing some good football. I think he would have done actually a relatively good job at Ajax. I know Ajax have got their own problems at the moment, but I think he would have gone to. I reckon he would have gone to Ajax and done relatively well. But yeah, in terms of comparing Ten Hag's Ajax team to a Brighton, say under a De Zerbi / Graham Potter, I think as far as the squads are concerned, I think they're relatively similar. similar in terms of quality. I say before selling McAllister and Caicedo and guys like that. That's where I'd probably say the comparison comes from. I think Brighton's team's worse now um, after this summer transfer window has gone. Um, but I think at a similar level, I think across the board between managers and clubs there. I think Graham Potter to Chelsea, I think for me is probably a mistake in hindsight. I was thinking that it was going to work out well, but unfortunately not. Time for me to sign off early for work. Good show, Hot Fuzz. Catch you soon. No worries, early doors. Big ups to you. Thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate you stopping by and delivering a good chat, doing a very, very good chat. And everybody else, links are in the chat. Mama Flossie has been posting them throughout. Make sure to go subscribe to Early Doors Football TV and all of that good stuff. To one chat, pleasure as always. Night for now. Take care, Early Doors. Take care and have a good day with work tomorrow. And Mama Flossie again with the links to not to Early Doors, but further up. She's dropped the links in the channel in the chat there. So. But you've got the links to both Arsenal, the History Mill, and Football Bants. Make sure to subscribe to both of them. If you're still here, Carl, who do you think has it worse, United fans or Arsenal fans? Oof, I could not answer. That is a question for Carl Rossi. Do you think if Ten Hag went to Brighton instead of us, Brighton would be mounting a challenge? I wouldn't say they'd be mounting a challenge. If you're talking about a title challenge, probably not. But I think they would be roughly whereabouts they are now, if not further up. Well, maybe not by much, but further up, definitely. I think in terms of level of club, I mean, with what was the is it Tony Bloom? Is the owner or the CEO for Brighton Football Club? I think he would have. I think Ten Hag would have gone into that club and had seen a similar structure to what he's used to with Ajax. Because what you get with Brighton is a lot of, first to second contract scouting, to then improve those players' value to then sell at a greater value. That's kind of what Ajax were doing. That's kind of their policy over in the Netherlands, which is a shame for Ajax and their fans because they've become a selling club, whereas, it'd be the pride of Danish football. Well, not Danish, of Dutch football. Be the pride of Dutch football and build a team that would actually have gone to, have proper decent runs in European football every single year. But overall, I think just the Eredivisie, it's not fared too well over recent years, where it's sort of like dropped, like the levels of the Eredivisie has dropped, which is a shame. And in turn, the Netherlands national team, the Dutch national team, has also dropped in or declined in quality as well. Would Arsenal win the league with Ten Hag? Ooh, I wouldn't know. I'd say there is I mean, it's difficult to say really, because if Ten Hag was managing Arsenal, would he have had the same team that Arteta had last season? Would he have played a different way to Mikel Arteta? I mean, the football might have been slightly similar or having similarities there. So I think maybe in terms of performance and results, maybe if Ten Hag was playing the Ajax way, or the way that he did at Ajax, not rather the Ajax way, but I think maybe he definitely would have challenged. 100% he would have challenged. But as far as winning the title, I think it depends really on what he would have done in the build-up for that season, for that campaign. If we were to base it off of last season, I think it's not impossible by any means. Like, Mikel Arteta I mean, as much as he's not rated by quite a few supporters of various clubs, not just Arsenal fans, but fans of other clubs as well. I think Ten Hag, it would have been a different ethos at Arsenal, and there's no telling whether that would have worked out or not. Because, to be honest, Ten Hag has not actually managed as big a squad as big a club as a Man United or an Arsenal before now. Ajax was his biggest club by a long, long way, and then Manchester United is his next biggest club by a long, long, long way. Um, and I'll tell you what, you have to be really, really special to sort of jump levels and look like you are, a good fit at that level of football. Would he win the league at Arsenal with the current Arsenal squad? I mean, possibly. I think he has a similar perception like Pep has, like Arteta has, with how many players he has, with the whole concept of small squads. And I don't like that. I don't like the idea of having small squads, like shrunk down to size, and you only rotate so many people in and out of your team. I think if you've got good quality in the options that you rotate with, then that favours you much more lucratively. With United and Arsenal, the rotation, the drop in quality with rotation was monumental. Like when your first team options weren't playing, the backups were nowhere near good enough. Arsenal had the same problem. There's only like one or two players that were ever named on Arsenal's bench that were ever good enough, but you've got 5 subs to make. So there's 3 players that could come on that were not good enough for Arsenal. So it's, for me, Ten Hag, if he had that squad, with the way he'd manage it, would have very quite a few similarities in like team selections. I think would have had similarities between the two. And last question, would you take Unai Emery to manage us if Ten Hag's sacked? Do you know what? I mean, it probably wouldn't happen. I mean, Unai Emery's sort of, found a really comfortable place at Aston Villa, so I know it most likely wouldn't happen. Like a 99.9999999% chance of it not happening. But do you know what? Unai Emery is a viable or a respectable choice of manager. He is a respectable choice of manager in the way that he takes a certain team in a certain position and makes it a stable. And a stable you can class as a team that is always looked at in a positive light. It's like, oh, that team's actually really good. Like Unai Emery's just really great at just taking a team, whoever it is, Villarreal, I think it's Sevilla, where he takes teams like those, makes them a stable, makes them a mainstay. I mean, Sevilla have never been the same since Unai Emery left them. They've never been the same. They've looked like they've regressed. And Villarreal, I think, are having a bit of a difficult season this season. But Unai Emery, he's won European competitions against other, against English teams as well, with various various Spanish squads. I mean, beat Liverpool with Sevilla, and then beat Manchester United with Villarreal. So he's got some good experience and some good abilities about him as a manager. So I wouldn't be against having Unai Emery as a Man United manager. I wouldn't, to be honest. I think there is definitely a plausible feat to having him as our coach. But I think that's one of those things that the best we can do with that is speculate. But yeah, it's bonus question. Agent Rafa or Big Sam for us? Mate, I'll tell you what, with all of the controversy that goes on at this club off the pitch, Big Sam would literally turn Carrington into the local police station with how many times there's got to be some crazy illegalities or mad, weird stuff going on. Like, I swear down, Big Sam's literally going to turn that place into like a proper crime gang, the crime gang hideout or something. And Agent Rafa, we're talking about Rafa Benitez. I mean, would he do anything good at Man United? Probably not. Factos. Wouldn't do it. He probably wouldn't do anything special at Manchester United, to be fair. But my God, what a disastrous collective of managers right there. A pairing. Worse, have both of them there. Oh my days. You got the fat English waiter and the fat Spanish waiter. I mean, which one do you choose? Or I should say the fat English bartender and then the fat Spanish waiter. You know, take your pick. Take your pick. To be honest, I mean, if I were to think from a managerial perspective, I would probably go with Rafa Benitez. To be fair to Rafa Benitez, he did go with the Newcastle team. Unfortunately, got relegated. Wasn't enough to save them. Got them back up into the Premier League in really good fashion, and was looking good until he got that big money offer, big money move, and he was then out the door. But yeah, that's who I would go with out of those between those two. Oh man. Double bonus question: has Steve Bruce got one last job in him? Bring back our captain. I would not take Steve Bruce at this club. I wouldn't take Steve Bruce at this club by any means. To me, not the level. If you're talking about him going onto the pitch, I mean, he'll probably collapse after like 5 minutes, like his legs just go. But I mean, Jesus Christ, yeah, I think Steve Bruce. If you take another job, go take that other job. Don't come to United. Don't come to United. It will be the death of you. Please stay away, for all of our sakes, including yours. But anyways, and to wrap the show up there, people. Gone an hour and a half long there. A couple of hours left in the day, so I'm going to let people enjoy the rest of their weekends, whatever it is you may be doing on this or Sunday evening. Big ups to everybody for tuning in. Really have loved the show today. Loads and loads of comments, loads and loads of interaction. Has been thoroughly enjoyable. So thank you very much for everybody for tuning in. On to 11 likes now, so we've gone past the 10 likes mark, which is fantastic news. So thank you very much to everybody that has liked the stream and has shown the support. Really appreciate everybody coming into chat as well with all the regulars. Big T, Mama Flossie, Early Doors, Carl Rossi, Jez from Arsenal History and More, Tony Ibarra, Abs from Football Bounce Channel, Anthony Herbert as well, Wolfgang Division, all of that good stuff, man. Really appreciate all of the interaction. It's been an absolute pleasure to do the show tonight. Would you take Neil Warnock for the lols? We'd put him in the coffin, mate. We'd be the reason that guy kicks the bucket. I'm not gonna lie. He'll have one of those like memorable rants to the media, and that's it for him. That's when he would, that's when his clock would tick to midnight. Great stream, Fuzzy. Thank you, Mama Flossie. You being here definitely helps make the show that much more special. So thank you very much for making the shows fantastic. Good night to all. Yeah. Good night to everybody in the chat and everybody watching. If you are on playback, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Turn that notification bell on. And as Jez has said, Let's try and get, though it may be difficult, let's try and get that 250 subscribers mark before the end of the year, before the turn of the year. Get it before Christmas, and that would be amazing. Absolutely incredible stuff. So big ups if we were to actually manage to do that. But until then, that's it from me for tonight. And we'll see you again in the week. We have got Bayern Munich on Tuesday night. Bayern Munich coming up at Old Trafford. The preview for that match is going to be tomorrow night. So do keep a lookout for that one. Until then, take care, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your weekends, and we'll see you again soon. Ciao for now. Cheers, guys. Cheers.